Buzz, 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 and welcome into the Yellowjackets Hive for the first Yellowjackets Hive After Dark episode of season 3. We are live in the Hive, and I am truly so happy to be here. I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this all day long. And I'm really curious to know how everybody else is feeling about the season premiere and the episodes that we got. I've heard a lot of really mixed opinions on the various socials, Facebook, Reddit, the usual, about how people feel. And I've heard some people say that they were impressed. I've heard some people say that they didn't really enjoy it at all. So, what do you guys think? I would love to hear your thoughts. Honestly, I absolutely love them. I don't get the bad reviews. Hi, Kim. Hi, Aaron. Hi, Allison. Hi, Virginia. Hi, Kennedy. So since we're covering 2 episodes tonight, I'm going to try to be as timely about this as I can. We're going to cover them sequentially just to make things easier. Hi, Faye. Hi, Kaylee. I broke the episodes down into 2 separate timelines, and I did it like chronologically. So we'll get into like a little bit of a general recap. But before we get into that, I thought that I would go ahead and share my thoughts and my observations. And to do that, I wanted to bring one of my friends on. Her name is Chloe, and she's waiting backstage. So I'm going to pop her on here so she can share her thoughts too. Hi, Chloe.
Hi, Emily. Thanks for
I can't hear you.
You can't? Oh, what do I do?
I don't know can everyone else hear you? Because if everyone else can hear you, then maybe it's a problem on my end.
Can you hear me now?
Yay, Chloe, channeling Nat.
Yes.
You
can you hear
Chloe?
me? Can anyone
That's so
hear
weird.
me?
My volume is all the way up.
How about now?
Hold on a second, guys.
How about now?
I've never had this problem before, so I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. I guess, yeah, you guys can hear us both, but I can't hear her, which is just really weird. Like I can see, oh, okay, she left. Maybe she's going to go away and come back, because normally when there's a problem with StreamYard, that tends to fix the problem. I don't want to end the stream because then I have to set up a whole new one, and that's such a pain in the butt. So I guess what I'm going to do is wait and see if she comes back on, and if that fixes the problem, we'll go ahead. If not, we'll somehow... Oh, there she is. Okay, let's see. I'm going to make sure edit mic settings. Okay, no. Why won't it let me do that? Sorry, guys. This is the perks of live streaming. Okay. All right,
How about now?
I still can't hear you. This is so strange. I can, I don't want to play lip reading, but I mean, if everyone else can hear you.
No, we can't do it. We can't do it.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on.
We'll have to do it another time.
I have my volume all the way up, and everything is normal on my end. I heard my intro when I opened the show, so there is just something isn't right. What do you want to do, Chloe?
my thing says you're in the show.
Olive.
I think that I should just let you do your thing, and we can chat another time.
I can't understand you.
Yeah, I know. Let me see if I can chat this.
I can't
somebody
you.
chat that for me, because I'm the worst.
It's obviously not going to work if I can't hear you. The wilderness has not chosen today, Kaylee says. I guess maybe we'll try. Do you want to try again next week?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
All
right. I'm going to have to say goodbye to Chloe, because if I can't hear her, this just isn't going to work. I'm really sorry, guys. It's a shame because she is so well-spoken and insightful. So I'm bummed, but we will go ahead and get into the thoughts and observations. Chloe said she thinks you should let you do your thing and she can chat another time. Okay. Thank you, Allison. I appreciate you being the translator for us. Okay. So thoughts and observations. First off the bat, Mari and Shauna clearly have some beef, and we see the two butting heads. We see the show open with this, what looks like Mari being chased, but we all were obviously tricked, and we realized that it was a game that they had made up to probably just pass the time while they were out there. And Shauna tackles Mari to the ground, and obviously, as we can see in this picture, she bites Mari's hand because she thinks Mari is holding the bone that they're playing capture the bone. And I don't know what it is, but I feel like Shauna has this aggression and anger that she will take out on anyone. But and we all know Mari is kind of like an instigator. She gets under everybody's skin. I mean, she gets under my skin real bad. So, but I feel like Shauna is just going at anybody. Such a great intro. I was not expecting the lightheartedness, but it was also so appreciated. It was. And when you bringing up the lightheartedness makes me think about something I was just thinking about before we started. Like, before the show premiered, I really, really, really wanted to see the direct aftermath of what happened after the cabin burned down. I wanted to see like what they immediately did, like how the panic would have affected the situation, the whole 9 yards. And I really wanted to get some of that. And I thought that I would be really bummed that we didn't get that. And I'm really not, because I read an article and somebody made a really good point. Oh, that is a good point, Kaylee. Mari seems to have the least personal trauma. Shauna has the most. Yeah, that's a really good point. But I read an article that like brought up the fact that the last season was literally 9 episodes of them trapped in this cabin almost the whole time, just miserable and cold and freezing and depressed. And like, did we really want more of that? Like, depression? Like, the subject matter is already depressing. Like, they're trapped in the wilderness. They are having to be in survival mode 24/7. They don't think rescue is coming anymore. So seeing the change in pace was kind of refreshing. I thought someone in the group said it was like a palate cleanser before the shit hits the fan again. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I would describe it. It felt right, in my opinion. It really did. Hi, Jess. Shauna is still clearly incredibly salty about Natalie being the leader of the group, even though it seems like a significant amount of time has gone by. Now, I just rewatched both episodes before we did this, and Van, in the beginning of episode 301, tells a story about what happened after the cabin burned down, and she says that they fed the fire for 12 days. And when Mari is trapped in the pit at the end of episode 302, before Ben helps her out, she says that she knew that he never set the fire. And he obviously says, like, what fire? And she says it burned for weeks. So there's a discrepancy in like how long it really lasted and all that. But maybe we will see a flashback. I don't know. But she really is still struggling with the fact that Natalie got that role. I mean, she calls Natalie my queen sarcastically when Natalie asked her to join them for Van's little story time, and Shauna doesn't want to. I love seeing them in the woods again. Season 2 was filmed on a stage, and you could tell the natural background is so much better. Yeah, you definitely can tell the difference between the real outdoors and fabrication, I think. Mari tends to avoid certain situations because she can't stomach things. I have seen and noticed more fear from her rewatching season 2 and just how much she drinks the Lottie Kool-Aid. I'm thinking she rounded 12 days to 2 weeks. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. And to be honest, 2 weeks is still a long time for a fire to burn. It's longer than I would have expected, and that's a good amount of time to keep a fire burning. And I wonder if they kept it burning because they were keeping it burning for warmth, or did they keep it burning because they hoped somebody would notice it? And 12 days is almost 2 weeks. Let's give her that. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So she could have rounded up to 2 weeks because it's the same thing. Yeah. Yes, if it's the pattern of sunshine and roses before things downtrend. 2 very great episodes. Can't wait for the rest of the season and beyond. Yeah. Lottie really wants Travis to trip on those mushrooms and communicate with it and understand it better, despite the fact that he has already been through some serious shit. Like, Travis gets a lot of shit within this fandom, and I totally agree. Like, he was an asshole in season 1, the way that he treated Natalie and how he had sex with Jackie and all that. Like, he was a dick, he was immature, but he has seen, witnessed, and done things that they can't understand either. He had to eat his own brother, and he watched his father fall out of an airplane and then fall into a tree and be impaled by a branch and then fall from that tree to his death. Those are really traumatic incidences. And Lottie said to Travis, like, when Travis brought up Shauna, when she talked about grief, she was like, it's not a competition. Grief isn't a competition. So it's clear that, like, Travis even thinks that he doesn't deserve to, like, hold space, like, in that way too. Season 1 Travis is like season 3 Shauna. Yeah, that's a good comparison. Yeah. Lottie really testing my personal devotion in the teen timeline. I get it. You're desperate for answers, but Travis is purely like, yeah. Like, and they almost tried to kill him at Doomcoming. Like, how could I forget that? So he's been through a lot already, and it just seems like she's, like, egging him on. And what do you think of Travis trying to put Lottie off on Akila, though? I don't know if he, like, did that, like, because he, like, do you really think that he, like, just targeted her for the sake of targeting her? Like, or do you think he really thinks there's some substance to that? Travis was desperate to get Lottie's attention off him. He was overwhelmed. I agree, he was overwhelmed. Yeah, for sure. He definitely wanted her off his back. I agree with that 100%. Travis was reaching and she was the last one he saw. Oh, yeah, that's true. They did just have a conversation. I never thought I'd say this, but Wilderness Lottie is kind of getting on my last damn nerve. And if you know me, you know I love my Lottie. Yeah, Lottie is really testing the waters, if you will, for sure. I agree, Allison. I think he was trying to take the heat off him. Okay. Well, you guys are changing my opinion a little bit, because I thought it was because, like, it really did seem like she was forming a bond with these animals. Like, she is Team Mortimer, at least. Yes, Mortimer for the win. But yeah, so I'm curious to see what this season has in store for Travis and the dynamic that we're going to see continue between Travis and Lottie. And it doesn't seem like Travis and Natalie are still a couple. When Misty and Natalie are out looking for Mari, Misty makes a comment about how she's really happy that how the way that her and Coach Ben ended things could have served as an inspiration to Natalie after things went south with her and Travis, which makes me think that means that they're not together in that way anymore. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think that they're together anymore. I think that too is also going to change the dynamic between Lottie and Travis. The fact that Natalie and Travis are no longer together in that way. Misty is having quite the difficult time dealing and processing with Nat's death, with her apparent binge drinking and not attending Nat's funeral. And in my honest opinion, Misty not being at that funeral was a very missed opportunity. It could have been television gold, in my opinion, to have Misty there. Misty cosplaying Nat, yes. Misty going to the storage locker and finding the leather jacket. And I don't know if any of you noticed this, but when she was going through the storage unit, she made like a couple piles. And one of the piles said special keeps, which in season 1, when Shauna, Nat, and Taissa are all going to meet the blackmailer with the money, Shauna brings a bag that Callie made for Jeff, and she said that Jeff put it in his special keeps. So I was wondering if that was like a nod to that line or like a throwback. Man, I was trying to channel my inner Nat for this side too. I'm a grieving widow like Misty. I think she wants someone to hear what she hears and sees. Didn't she also have trouble seeing and hearing things? She wouldn't have given a better eulogy than Nat's mom. Yeah, I can't believe all she said was that she had fun on the swings when she was a kid. Like, come, that's all you can like come up with. I know that they didn't have a good relationship and that they weren't close, obviously, and everything that happened with her dad, but that was just like it would have been better for her to not go up there and say anything at all, in my opinion. It would have been more appropriate to not speak than to go up there and just make up some story about how she loved swinging when she was a little kid. That, does anybody really care about that? No, they want you to talk about the heartfelt moments, and they didn't have any of that. So she didn't have anything to say. So yeah, I thought that was a really, like, that could have been, I don't know. It just could have been really good TV. We do know Nat's mom is alive. Is Travis' mom's alive? I don't know if Travis's mom is alive. That's a good question. Nat, stunning. Looks like she could stab you. Misty's eulogy. The most anticlimactic eulogy, and the O2 mask was just icing on the cake. Yeah. Yep. Coach Ben makes a literal deep discovery with the unveiling of what appears to be the pit that we saw in the pilot episode of the first season, when he stumbles upon it in the woods with his crutches, his trusty old crutches. And then Mari being found in the pit at the end of 301. And let me tell you, when he looked over the edge of that pit and he saw her, I was like, yes, finally. Like, Mari gets under my skin more than any other character on the show. I've said this before. I think Alexa is amazing at playing her. She's a great actress. She does what she's supposed to do. She makes Mari the character that she is. And but like, Mari is the kind of person that puts other people down to make herself feel better. And that is just one of my biggest pet peeves. So seeing her there was just awesome. Yes, Nathan, that too. That was a wild moment and perfect song. Loved the song choice so much. It was so good. Pink Converse versus Crutch close up. That was the only thing missing. I'm wondering if Mari, knowing Coach is alive, not immediately telling, then it coming to light. Yeah, that's a really good thought, Virginia. Yeah, I could go with that. So I am totally here for that. It was so great, and it was just such a chef's kiss moment, like a great end to the season premiere. My delusional self-hope for Team Ben making it out in the end, but it is not looking good now. Now he has kidnapping on his supposed rap sheet. Yeah, I would agree. It's really not looking good for him. And I'm right there with you, Kaylee. Like, I want him to make it out of the wilderness more than anything. So Ben could be lying. We cannot lose Ben. No. And I read an article that had comments from both Sophie Nélisse and Courtney Eaton, and they're very close with one another. And Courtney said that there's a death that happens this season that was very hard on her and Sophie. And it just really makes me wonder if it's Coach, which, I mean, I think we can all agree that the chances of him surviving to the end are not good. I spent most of the break convinced Ben was the big bad who made it out and was sending the postcards, but now maybe delusionally wondering if it's Mari. I truthfully think that Mari is toast. Like, I don't think Mari's making it out of the wilderness. Like, I know that there are people out there who do, but like, it's not looking good for her. And I read an article that Alexa did an interview, I think it was with Deadline, and she said that Mari's choices are about to bite her in the ass. So I don't think that there's any way that she's making it out. I don't necessarily know if I think she's pit girl, but like, I don't think Mari's surviving this season. I really don't. I think Mel is the postcard sender. I don't know, because my only question is like, well, first of all, why did the sender of the postcard wait that long to send these postcards? And what is their motive in sending them? Like, we need to know that information for it to really make sense as to who sent them, I think. You guys are just so funny. I can't show every single comment that you're making, but you guys are hilarious. Ty is still seeing the man with no eyes in the present day. So, and I'm wondering if like that is somehow tied to Van, because when she's seen him as an adult, I'm pretty sure like, well, she saw him in the wilderness when she was with Van, and she's seen him when Van wasn't around. But like, I'm just wondering if like he manifests to her when Van is involved in the situation in some way. I think some of the characters who make it out of the wilderness won't make it to the present day timeline. Yes, I definitely think that's possible. I think there will be people that survive, and I think that they will die before we get to the present day in the show, because I watched the trailer for the rest of the season, and like, they're kind of hinting that Shauna's like not a good person. I mean, we all know Shauna's not a good person, but like, they're laying it on thick that Shauna's not a good person. I mean, they have Callie even saying, like, do you think that Mom could be a bad person? So maybe Shauna did some messed up shit when they got back too. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Some marinara sauce to go with the raviolis. Oh my God, that is so good. That is so good. Is Hilary Swank a cop or Melissa? I have no idea. No clue. Not a clue. I'll get to my thoughts on that a little later, though. Callie stashing the mystery tape and envelope intended for Shauna. Who was the sender? Is it the same person who left the cell phone in the hotel bathroom that Shauna finds in 302? Are they the same person? I mean, I think we're supposed to assume that they're the same person. And when we see the envelope and the tape being left, before we hear the door creak and see Callie notice that noise, you can visibly see someone watching the Sadecki house, and it looks like it's a woman. But yeah, like, is it the same person? And a lot of you are saying, I think it is the same person. And I think it's the same person too. Can't wait to hear that tape. Yeah, me too. I am so curious to know what that tape is and why it's being sent to Shauna and what the goal is and like her hearing it. Like, what is somebody trying to achieve of giving her this information? I think Melissa left the phone, but isn't the postcard sender. I'm wondering if the two groups made it out of the wilderness at different times. Oh, okay. I believe Walter is teaming up with another and sent the tape. It looked like Melissa's hair, honestly. Yeah, it did. But I don't necessarily think that means that Hilary Swank is Melissa. Like, so many people are saying. Like, sorry, I don't buy it for a second. Like, I know that there's been some information that's been going around the fandom that's making people believe that. But I'm not trusting the source 100%. And there are things that make me think that it is not going to be Hilary Swank. I think that given the fact that I don't necessarily know if this means Melissa's going, I mean, if Melissa is another survivor, then she probably will become more of a prominent character in the teen timeline as well. She's not going to be just a background if she's a survivor in the adult timeline. So, Emily, we have our theory Hilary could be a sister of a survivor. Yeah, yes. That's a thought that crossed my head. But Hilary Swank didn't have to move or like relocate to shoot the show. She was able to work from home, and she was only on set a couple days a week. And also, it's not a guarantee 100% that her role will extend past season 3. So if Melissa really is another survivor, unless she dies in season 3 as an adult, then I don't think that Hilary Swank is Melissa. If Hilary isn't Melissa, I just hope she and Joel McHale aren't additional law enforcement. I think the cops had too much screen time in season 2, and the show should move away from that. Yeah. Walter the big bad. He seemed authentically concerned about Misty, but he did manipulate her to open the storage space. His face when she was like, "I'll take care of it." I'm watching you, Walter. I am watching you. Yes, no more cop storylines. I believe the tape is a confession tape. One of the survivors made that to ease their conscience. Natalie or Travis made a confessional tape. I can't see it being Natalie or Travis. Like, not after everything that they went through. Well, no, I just can't. I can't. No, I can't. I'm sorry. Hilary Swank has the option for season 4. They said the potential for an expansion in season 4, which I don't think that necessarily means that she's going to be Melissa. I just not buying it. And I will gladly eat my words if I'm wrong. I don't have a problem admitting when I'm wrong. So if that's the case, then I just wasn't right about this one. But in my gut, like, I just don't feel that it's going to be her. I don't know. Lottie showing up at Shauna's of all places when she's released from the mental health facility. Why did she go there? Like, what in her mind made her think that she would be welcome at Shauna's after what transpired at her compound in front of Callie? Like, doesn't she have anywhere else to go? Like, where are her parents in her life now? Like, are they dead, or does she just not talk to them because they don't agree with the way that she approaches what they think is a mental illness, and like she doesn't believe she's ill kind of thing? So they had differences and like they were estranged. There's so many potentials, but like it's just really weird that she chose to go to Shauna's. And I thought maybe she went to Shauna's because Callie was there and she has some fascination with learning more about Callie. And Oh my God, adult Lottie reliving a teenage type of experience that Shauna's with Callie. It's my new favorite thing. Lottie has always been drawn to Shauna and her children. Yes, that's what I mean. So maybe that's why Lottie went there, because she met Callie, and she made that comment about Callie being so powerful in the season 2 finale. So she's obsessed with Shauna's baby. I definitely think she's looking at Callie as heir to the throne. Yes, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, I've seen people say that that Callie could possibly be like the next generation Antler Queen. And if that's the case, then maybe Lottie is the one that assumes that and like wants to like put that role upon her in a way. Callie braiding her hair, yeah. Callie is fascinated with Lottie to learn more about the wilderness. Yes, she is. And their sleepover made that apparent with the truth or dare that they played. But I think that Callie's interest in Lottie is more to get information out of her. Like, I think she just wants to know about what happened to her mom. And I think Lottie's interest in Callie is a lot different. Callie is connected to the wilderness, but not as heavily traumatized. Yeah, she definitely is connected to the wilderness, 100%. And drugging Misty, yeah, that was hilarious. It was so funny how quick Misty was supposed to have passed out from the equivalent to Benadryl, but that was good. That was really good. I love that. How about Callie boiling out the Malibu and milk? Oh my God, that was such a good throwback to the fact that they say that Shauna drank that same thing when she was a teenager at a party. That was a really nice nod. I love how they're like connecting things from different seasons with characters. It's really fun. Misty vomits up as a way to welcome Shauna back home. Coach essentially taking Mari prisoner. He won't let her go back because he fears for his life, and rightfully so. They all think he burned the cabin down, as we've seen, but he tells Mari that he didn't even know the cabin burned down. And who or what was he talking to after he gave Mari the hot chocolate? That cave looks pretty big, by the way, because he's able to sit Mari down in the space, have enough space to go in like an alcove almost, and he is clearly having a conversation. Like, I have it written down what he says. Hold on one second. He says, where is it? Sorry, guys, bear with me. Okay. I'm trying to keep her quiet. I just need time to think. That's enough. Stop. Like, so he's clearly having a conversation with someone. Or something, or at least thinks he is having a conversation with someone. And I saw a really interesting comment that maybe as a result of his malnourishment and being delusional for so long, that he sort of developed like a split personality, like a Jekyll and Hyde scenario, if you will. And so what if the bad side is the one who burned down the cabin, and the good side just doesn't remember the fact that he did it? Or is he just talking to himself? Like, which I think is more likely, that he's just talking to himself and imagining something. Or is it possible that he was hallucinating Paul? And Chloe, who I was going to have on here to talk about, sorry, Chloe, made a comment yesterday in our group chat that she thinks that he's talking to Paul, and that he never stopped seeing Paul. Like, after we see the last hallucination of Paul, near the end of season 2. So I think that could be a likely thing too, that he's been alone for a while. I saw someone in the comments say Coach is talking to Nat, and I don't know if I agree with that just because of like the logistics of it and everything. Javi's friend, whoever that was, yes, that's another thing that I've considered. But was Javi's friend a real person, or was Javi's friend like a manifestation? Like, and if it was a manifestation or like a delusion, and both Ben and Javi had the same delusion, like that would be crazy. That would be so crazy. But I really hope it's not another person. Like, I feel like if they start introducing random people, like it's just gonna give off a Lost vibe, and Yellowjackets is not Lost, and I love Lost, but I want the two to remain separate shows. So I really hope it's not another person, and I know there's been so much speculation that it could be Cabin Daddy's daughter, and I don't buy that for a second. I don't think that there's a random girl just like living in the wilderness that's been out in the wilderness for whoever knows how long since her dad died. So I don't think that's the case, but I see a lot of you saying no other people agreed, enough newbies in the wilderness. You don't think maybe he and Nat are sending each other signals or communicate, but how would they do that? Like how would they do that undetected? Like, this was before the age of technology. They were out in the middle of nowhere. They had no pen and paper to even like send notes or messages. So how would that happen? But I'm really like, I really want more information on the Ben situation. Like, that piqued my interest more than anything in the whole show. And somebody made a really good point that like it was a nod to Jackie's death dream that he gave Mari the hot chocolate, and the It Girl being the title of the episode was a nod to Pit Girl, and Mari being found in the pit was hinting that she's Pit Girl. Like, I love all these little like almost like messages that they're throwing in. They're just so great. That is yes, I'm getting to that, Amy. I'm not going to highlight your comment, or actually, yeah, I guess I will. When Ben finds the pit, he finds a chest, a doomsday prepper chest full of survival supplies. There's water, food, canteen, blankets, flashlights, like everything you could need if you were in a survival scenario. And on the outside, it says KUH. What is KUH? Who is KUH? Is KUH Cabin Daddy? Was that stuff Cabin Daddy's stuff? Because I'm under the impression that it had to be his stuff and that he was a crazy prepper kind of guy, because Coach made a comment that he had enough bullets to survive the apocalypse. So it was an army trench and army supplies. I don't think it was an army trench. I think it like maybe it was like a foxhole, but I don't think our foxhole's that deep. Like, that was really deep. Please let there not be a cabin dude daughter. Yeah, I'm curious why Jen is now doing the hunting. I feel like maybe it's just because Nat is leader, she's like delegating, and she taught someone else how to do it, so she didn't have to, because she's in charge of everyone now. So maybe she wanted to give someone else a little bit more responsibility. And yeah, exactly, because Nat is queen. She has to manage the troops. Yep. I agree with that, Michelle. That hole was specifically for those supplies. So that tells me Mari uses the spray on Coach, since we see that. And I don't know if that necessarily means, I don't think the spray is used on Coach, because those eyes do not look like Coach's eyes. Maybe Mari takes the spray, or maybe it's or no, you actually see Mari spraying it. So I don't know. But another thing that kind of has to do with Coach is Nat trying to redirect Misty's attention away from the trap that she finds when they're looking for Mari. Like, it's clear that Nat was under the impression that trap was set by Coach, but she lied to Misty and said that she thought it was one of theirs, but that she doesn't think that Mari said it and that they need to switch directions. And Misty's like, but I thought you said we needed to go this way. And because that's where the berries are and Mari's probably hungry. And Natalie's like, yeah, but there's berries the other way too, so we'll go the other way. And not only that, but when they are having this conversation, Misty, Natalie says she thinks he's probably dead. And when Misty also makes a comment about how she thinks Ben would be proud of Nat to like see what they've built after the cabin burned down. And Nat pretty much says fuck Coach and really underplays the relationship that they had with one another, which I thought was kind of strange. Like, did she do that like just to protect herself, or does she really actually know where Coach is? And she's a really good liar. I mean, we know she's a good liar in the adult timeline. So I really want to know more about that too. Yes, Nat is protecting herself. Yes, Nat knows. It was just weird. I mean, I guess I wouldn't necessarily trust Misty to be vulnerable with her, like, and be like, yeah, Coach and I had a good relationship, because we all saw the bond that they had. Like, they clearly had a bond. And if anyone were to help him, I think we can all agree that would be her. But she's really laying it on thick that she thinks he's dead, which would fit with her protecting him. Lottie and Callie's we talked about this a little bit already. Lottie and Callie's dynamic during the sleepover. Misty telling Shauna she thinks Nat knows where Coach is. In my opinion, this is because Misty will always try to align herself with who she thinks is truly in charge and dominating the situation. Misty wants to be accepted above all else. Like, that is her goal. And she's willing to go to great lengths in order to achieve that. Like, we have all seen the lengths that she's willing to go to in order to be accepted by the rest of the group. So why is she combining in Shauna? Like, does she think that's because Shauna's going to steal power from Natalie? But yeah, she's trying to make allies. There's going to be trouble with Shauna knowing about Nat. Yeah, there's going to be big trouble with Shauna knowing about Nat. Like, Shauna wants that role for some reason. And like, Ty made a comment to Van too in the episode about how, like, she asked Van if she thinks that Ty could have done a better job than Natalie. And Van says, like, I think you could have done a fine job, but like, the wilderness doesn't want to be governed and it's messy, and essentially, like, you don't want that role. Misty always aligns herself with the potential new alpha Lottie, Nat, Shauna. Yeah. I mean, Misty is a follower, like, but at the same time, like, she thinks for herself because she wants people to accept her. So she does things that are like so outrageous and outlandish in order to get that acceptance. But like, she justifies it in her head. I heard a theory that Shauna will take over for Nat because Nat is too laid back, or they split into two camps. Okay. I don't know if she's necessarily going to take over for Nat or if she's just going to take the power from Nat, because in the trailer, like, they show her saying something about somebody not being in charge anymore. And I'm assuming that means Natalie. And this was in that scene that kind of looked like they were having like a wilderness court or trial, if you will. I see a split coming. Okay. See, I'm not sure if I like totally see that or not. Like, I'm open to it, but I don't know if I necessarily see it. The Shauna and Melissa kiss. I was not expecting that whatsoever. Like, really threw me for a loop. And now I am officially terrified for Melissa and her survival and her well-being. Like, 100% terrified. We have seen what happens to Shauna's playthings, aka Adam. And we all see the way that Shauna treats the people that she actually cares about. Like, so how is she going to treat Melissa? Like, up until this episode, they had probably said like 3 words to each other. But Sophie Nélisse made comments in multiple interviews that she believes Shauna is more of like an opportunist in this moment, and that she's searching for anyone to be there for her and tell her that things will be okay after the immense trauma that she's been through. And that literally could have been anyone. She just needed someone, and Melissa was there in that moment, and she was being genuine with Shauna and showing Shauna compassion, true compassion for her baby, which we all know that Shauna is extremely sensitive about. And I think it took Shauna aback, but like, Shauna's in a messed up headspace right now. Like, she is grieving so much, and grief does really weird things to people sometimes. So I was surprised Missy was willing to turn on Nat just like that. Were you really? I mean, maybe that's why she had such devotion to her in the adult timeline, because she betrayed her. And that was as close as Misty ever came to feeling guilty. Remember Ty saying in the car before the blackmail to Shauna? Yeah. Yes. I do remember that. Shauna really had no one except Jackie. Shauna really alone. Shauna really... What, you have a personality now? Oh my God, I love that. Mari's so dumb. I heard she chipped her tooth on her vibrator. That was so good. That was such a good line. I loved that. I love the lines that they gave her. But that really surprised me. And I'm just like, I'm scared. I'm scared about what's going to happen next. Okay, so now, since I shared my initial thoughts, I guess what I'm going to do is I'm briefly going to go through and recap some bullet points as to pressing things that happened in the episode. Episode 201 is It Girl, and the synopsis is: Summer inspires the Yellowjackets to ditch soccer for a more contact-intensive sport and revive an old pagan tradition. In the present, a cringeworthy funeral flows into a bar therapy session, and this is directed by Bart Nickerson, written by Ashley Lyle, Bart Nickerson, and Jonathan Lisco. And as we said, the episode opens up with Mari running, and I loved this altercation between her and Shauna, like when Shauna tackles her to the ground, because they like have words with each other, and Mari's like, I was just a decoy, biatch. And she does the sign for loser with the L on her forehead, and she makes it backwards, and Shauna's like, that's backwards, you moron. And Mari like thought about it for a second, and she realized that Shauna was right. It was just so funny. Shauna's going to do anything to keep her baby in her soft side for him away from the others, and now we'll use Melissa to start building her own group. Yeah. Bart director era, the episode was shot really well. Yeah, he finally got to direct. I know. The backwards L. Yeah, I know. That killed me. That absolutely killed me. It was like when she made that comment about when Lottie said something about her being with her second cousin or whatever, or Mari said they were second cousins. Like, she made out with her cousin, and Mari was like, yeah, but we were second cousins. And the group has clearly established an impressive makeshift camp in the wake of the cabin fire, complete with teepees and ducks and rabbits, along with a makeshift grave site for Jackie and Javi and Shauna's baby, as we saw. But I have a couple questions about this camp that they created. We saw that there was a book in one of the teepees that was specifically about building structures, and that was a little too on the nose for me, like that they just happened to have that book there. Like, are we just supposed to suspend disbelief in this moment because they literally just experienced a fire and lost what little belongings that they had? You're telling me that there just happened to be this random book there that enabled them to build these structures? I think they could have figured it out without the book too. But Shauna and Nat have an interesting interaction at their camp when Nat asks Shauna to join them for something. And Shauna makes that comment, I appreciate that, my queen. And she does like a little like bow forward, which just highlights the saltiness of that Shauna still has over the fact that she wasn't the one that was selected to be the leader of everybody. And when we see Van give this monologue about what happened to them after the fire burned down, we see Shauna journaling, and Shauna says, God, I fucking hate them. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not psyched to hear some bullshit story about our adventures in the woods. My best friend is dead. My baby is dead. I held his body when it was covered in my blood, and then I had to put his corpse out in the cold while everyone else talked about fucking sacrifices and miracles. How's this story for you? Once upon a time, a bunch of teenage girls got stranded in the wilderness, and they went completely fucking nuts. They worshipped evil spirits, and they hunted their friends, and they feasted on their flesh, and they fucking liked it. So they told themselves stupid fairy tales and pretended they were brave and strong, because the reality was that even if rescue came, they could never go home again because of what they've done, because of what they've become. That's the truth. And hearing anything else makes me want to fucking... And then it cuts off, and we just get a glimpse into crazy Shauna's eyes. Like, she looks like she wants to rip someone's head off. She looks so mad. And a little bit later, Mari is making digs at Shauna for losing the capture the bone contest, and Shauna's preparing the meat for their dinner that night, and she drops some of it, and Mari makes a comment like, oh, be careful with that, that's our dinner. And Shauna says, I can't believe we didn't eat that bitch first. And I thought that might be directed at Mari. I hoped that might be directed at Mari. And it was directed at Mari. And that was when Melissa makes the line, Mari's so dumb, I heard she chipped a tooth on her vibrator. And Shauna says, wait, do you actually have a personality? And that was just such a good line to give a character that hasn't had a lot of dialogue. It was entertaining. And it really set up the fact that they're clearly going to have some kind of a relationship with each other this season in some way. And it's also clear that they've established some kind of hierarchy in this community with the meeting that we see transpire with Jen and Nat and Van. And Ty points out that maybe this thing between Mari and Shauna is a bigger deal than she's making it out to be. And Nat kind of shrugs it off, and like she makes a comment like, well, it's just girl drama. And Ty says, yeah, but maybe everything is life or death out here. Like, just look at what happened to Jackie. So I think Ty realizes like what could end up happening as a result of the tension that's building between them. But I think Natalie is kind of just like, no, it's fine. Kind of underplaying it, or trying to underplay it. Maybe she feels like the more attention they give it, the more it's going to aggravate the situation. But I think Shauna is going to attack anybody that pisses her off this season. Like, Shauna is in pure rage mode, and it's going to be really interesting. They also discussed Coach Ben and whether he could still be alive or dead, with Nat saying he either froze to death or starved to death. So like we said earlier, she is either hiding that she knows where he is, or she truly doesn't know. Then we get our first glimpse of Coach and the pit. And like we talked about, also, we see Travis ingesting mushroom tea on purpose at Lottie's request so that he can communicate with the wilderness correctly. Or directly. And then he like has a complete freak out moment and starts choking Lottie, and Ty and Van hear him screaming in the woods when they're out looking for Mari, and he literally starts physically choking Lottie, and Ty has to pull him off. And Lottie had like the craziest look in her eye at this point too. Like, she looked like happy almost. It was weird. And like Ty was like pushing her backwards, and Lottie was like shoving her out of the way, like trying to get to Travis, and like I'm not liking it. I'm not liking it at all. The girls have their solstice feast, and we see Shauna spit directly in Mari's food and then lie about the fact that she spit in Mari's food and tried to play it off like she didn't do anything wrong. And then we so Mari gets up and she says, I can't remember exactly what she says, but then Shauna shoves Mari to the ground and says, I told you to eat, bitch. And they get into an altercation with each other, and they have to be broken up, and Nat like separates them and is like, all right, that's enough. Like, I've had it with you too. Like, now you have to go in your quarters for a week. I don't want to see either one of you. So she asserts her dominance in this moment. And Mari's like, but I didn't even do anything. Shauna was the one that attacked me. And Natalie's like, if you keep going, I'm going to make it 2 weeks. So why would they let Shauna give Mari her food? That's a very good question, Kennedy. I think Lottie believes in the woo so much that she's actually abusing Travis at this point. I do too, Allison. Dying over that line from Shauna that I told you to eat, bitch. Yeah, that was really good. And it just shows how rageful Shauna is too, in my opinion. After this altercation, they're separated. The lantern scene teased from before the season premiere is revealed to be a ceremony of sorts, and what Lottie claims to be is the shortest day of the year. She says at the ceremony, we called a Javi, now with the wilderness to watch over us. We called a Jackie, now with the wilderness to guide us. We called a child, now with the wilderness to deliver us, which causes Shauna to leave abruptly when Lottie says that last part about the child. Like, Shauna does not want them participating in her grief of losing her son. There's no way that they can understand it. Yeah, I didn't spit in your food with a full chest. Yeah, like and no one else saw that happen, and they must really not have a lot of faith in or stock in what Mari says if they took Shauna's word after everything Shauna's done. And then all of a sudden, the whole group hears what sounds like a noise that I can only describe as a noise that you heard on like something like Lost. Like, it sounded like the trees were screaming. And it gave me like Smoke Monster flashbacks for a minute. I'm not gonna lie. I would hope that's not the right direction that it's going. I mean, I think it's supposed to be a hint that like they're still gonna believe in like the supernatural aspect of things. But yeah, that was really interesting because like Lottie asked Travis if that's the same noise that he heard, and Travis says, or I don't remember if Travis answers actually, but everyone hears it, like everyone. And Chloe also made a comment that like she's curious to see how it's going to play out with like a group scenario of like a hallucination or like an auditory hallucination, because it's clear that they're all hearing it. And if it's a hallucination, like that's crazy. That's wild. And then Coach realizes something has fallen into his trap. When he looks down inside, he sees that it's Mari. And then we get into the adult timeline. This goes back to Misty and her grief. We first encounter Misty listening to some meditation tapes in bed when Walter comes in and seemingly tries to cheer her up and try to get her out of bed to attend Nat's services. And it doesn't work until he mentions that he found the key to Nat's storage unit and asks if she wanted to take a look for anything incriminating or sentimental. And she says she'll take care of it. We then see the adults at Nat's funeral, which was kind of uneventful. We see Shauna, Van, and Ty all at the bar discussing what would be said at their own funerals. And there's a weird moment when Shauna like notices, like it's like you can tell she feels like she's being watched. And the other women take note of it too. So that kind of feeds into the Melissa coming into play thing. Or not, maybe not Melissa. another survivor. I don't know, but everyone's thinking it's Melissa at this point. Then Misty goes through Nat's storage unit and ends up finding Nat's old leather jacket. And this is when Misty takes on the persona of Natalie. I think she's like trying to become Natalie, become one with Natalie in a way. And because she misses her and wants her there. And as much as guilt as Misty is capable of feeling, she can't like that is the guilt that is the only kind of guilt that Misty can feel, like what we're seeing. The jacket over her cat shirt. Yeah, that was too good. I love that. It's so funny because it's such like a mismatch of oh, here we go. There it is right there. It's just such a stark contrast to have like a cat sweatshirt and then have a leather jacket over top of it. Callie's schoolmates speculate on what happened to Shauna and her friends, and they say that Lottie is the guru, and they say that they killed pigs and smeared blood all over their bodies. Next up, Caligula tells secrets. Oh, juxtaposition of Nat and Misty. Yes, agreed. And honestly, I'm here for it. Like, you all know Misty's my favorite character, so they can do whatever they want with her. And Christina Ricci will handle it with grace because she is just the best Misty Quigley I could have ever asked for. We then see Ty on the phone with Simone, and it's obviously not a pleasant conversation. She's hinting at the fact that Sammy didn't want to talk to her, but she thinks that maybe Simone doesn't want Sammy talking to her. So I'm assuming that they're getting a divorce. It's been weeks since Natalie's death, and Van has been staying with Ty. She was in Sammy's room, and she said, like, Ty even says to her, like, why won't you come and stay with me? It's been weeks. And Van says, what did you ditch me for? The veneer of respectability, your high power law degree? The irony, the tragic joke is that you ended up gay anyway, married to a woman you're still fucking married to. So instead of asking me why at the end of my life I'm not leaping at the opportunity to sleep with you, how about you just go fuck yourself? And I loved that. That was Lauren Ambrose's delivery is everything. Like, she embodies Van. It is so good. Where is Steve? Yes, where is Steve? I was wondering the same thing. He doesn't seem to be, like, there's been no hint of him anywhere. Glad we found out Simone is okay and had Sammy. Now we just need to find out about Steve. Yeah, agreed. Ty be like, ooh, Steve. Yep. That was Patricia that picked Steve. Oh my God, that's so good. Callie gets a bag of something delivered to her at school via similar to Uber Eats. And who is their delivery man? Randy of all people. Oh my gosh, love seeing him back again. Jeff Holman, the guy that plays Randy Walsh, is great. We interviewed Melanie and I, when Melanie was still doing the podcast with me, we interviewed Jeff Holman, and he is the nicest guy. So funny. His portrayal of Randy is just so good. For being such a minor character, Randy is like one of my favorite characters. He's just so funny. And Randy on the scooter took me out. Ozempic Randy. Yes, he lost so much weight. Hope we see more Randy. Tammy took him back. Yeah, I know. And Callie asked him why he was delivering the stuff, and he makes a comment that his application at NASA was pending. I loved that. That was so great. And right after this, we see Shauna going through Callie's things, and she ends up finding Callie's joints, and she takes one. She starts smoking it, which love that for Shauna. I think she could probably use a little bit of that. But she gets interrupted from a phone call from Callie's principal about something that Callie had done. And we then see Shauna and Jeff having a conversation about how Callie brought animal guts to school and essentially assaulted her classmates. How what Callie witnessed at Lottie's compound wasn't normal, and neither was shooting Lottie or seeing Natalie die. And then this is when Jeff asked Shauna if she had been smoking chronic. And Shauna's like, no one calls it that anymore. And Jeff realized how much he instantly aged himself by saying that when it left his mouth. Jeff, are we sure they weren't human? And Shauna's like, no, you can't DoorDash human entrails. I freaking love that conversation. It was so great because Shauna's just like eating chips and Jeff's like, how are you hungry right now? So are we just leaving cabinets open? Did you smoke chronic as the new book club? There's no book club. I like that. I could get behind that. Yeah. Ty and Van go to a fancy restaurant where they dine and dash and then get chased down by their server, who almost gets hit by a bus and then seemingly has a heart attack on the sidewalk and dies. What is that about? How does that factor in? Why did we see that? Like, that was really dine and dash. We call it chew and screw in Philly. Go Birds. Yes, go Birds. Go Phils. Yes, dine and dash. Yes, but I didn't know that. We call it chew and screw. Nice to know. Thanks, Alan. And then we see Van and Ty kissing in the alleyway when Ty sees the man with no eyes over Van's shoulder. So like I said earlier, she's still seeing the man with no eyes. And I want to get a lot more answers on that part of the plot too. Misty hits up a local bar, and the bartender is, who I may say, the glycerin needle drop. Yes, we talked about this yesterday, Allison. It was so perfect. I loved every second of it. It was such a good moment. It like really highlighted like the electricity between Van and Ty, like the pull that they have like towards each other. Like they are so drawn to each other. It's like magnetic almost for them. But Misty hits up a local bar, and I know all you other Eagle Eye fans noticed this as well. The bartender was the same guy that Shauna, that worked in the chop shop that stole Shauna's minivan in season 2, and she had the monologue about peeling human skin off of a body. It was the same guy. I know you all noticed it too. Don't know why they used the same guy. I don't know if that's supposed to mean something or if they just thought that we wouldn't notice, but they should know by now that we literally notice everything. So I'm not sure. And when she is in the bar, at first she's like, oh, I'll have an espresso martini. And she's like, no, make it a whiskey. Straight up. And I'm wondering, do any of you know, was that the same bar that she went to with Nat in season 1 when they went through her file when Natalie first went to Misty about the postcards? I couldn't tell if it's the same bar, but it wouldn't surprise me if that's where Misty went. So yeah, that was, she starts pounding back whiskey, and then and in this moment, she sees, she hallucinates seeing Teen Nat in the bar mirror, and Nat says, you shouldn't take shit from dirtbags like that. You don't have to take shit from anyone. So is Misty gonna like start envisioning Teen Nat as like her conscience now? Like are we gonna see like Teen Nat hallucinations, like, and Teen Jackie hallucinations too? Like what is happening? And a guy comments on her jacket and tells her that it's nice, and she eventually like gets into what I guess could be considered an alteration, and she accused some guys of making fun of her, and she's like, don't fuck with me, or I know I look like someone you shouldn't be afraid of, but I have the dicks on fire. And she like douses them with beer to prove that she's gonna do it again. Who's got a lighter? I know somebody in here's got a lighter. It was just so funny. And then Callie and Shauna actually bond over Callie dumping the animal guts into the laps of her friends at school. And Shauna says that she thinks that it's hilarious. Can I just say that that's not really the best parenting in the world, in my opinion? Like, she let Callie go get a boba after that happened. Like, Callie got suspended from school. And yes, I will get to that line in a second. But and then we see Callie making a sundae in the kitchen when she hears a creak at the back door, and she goes and checks and sees an envelope sitting there with the name Shauna Shipman and the symbol have been left by the door. Callie opens the envelope and finds a tape inside, pockets it quickly when Jeff startles her and tells her to go to bed. Like I said, before Callie heard the creaking sound, it looked as if someone was watching the Sadecki home. Walter finds Misty walking home from the bar, and he consoles her as she breaks down about missing Natalie. And this is when we hear the I'll crotch your burn line. She's like, don't fuck with me, I'll crotch your burn. That instantly became my I think that might be my favorite Misty Quigley line. I'll crotch your burn. That was so funny. And that isn't how the episode ends. The episode ends with the teen timeline, but now we're gonna jump into dislocation. The summary is the Yellowjackets are stuck deciding whether to track down a missing teammate or just trip out on mushrooms. Shauna secures a spot in the world's most unsupported partner list. And this episode is directed by Billy Woodruff and written by Rich Monahan and Amini Rosa. And in the teen timeline, the episode kicks off with Mari screaming for help in the pit as that Ben discovered. She tells Coach, if you're going to kill me, do it quick. He tells her to pull herself together and that he's not going to hurt her. And Mari realizes that she injured her knee when she fell, and Coach talks her through resetting her dislocated kneecap, which shows us where the name for the episode comes from, dislocation, dislocated knee. And that kneecap was a topic of discussion when the trailer came out too. And we got answers to that one pretty quick. Shauna unburies her baby and moves his body to a new unknown location so he can remain hers and no one else's. Like, she does not want to share in that grief whatsoever. The group discusses Mari not coming back to camp the night before, and Nat announces that they're going to go look for Mari and ask for volunteers, and Misty jumps at the chance. Nat tells Shauna she's going to come help search, and Shauna responds with, I'm not looking for her. Fuck Mari. Tell us how you really feel, Shauna. Like, seriously. Like, it is so apparent that she has such disdain, and a lot of people are like wondering like where that came from, like, because it kind of seems sudden, but I think Mari has just slowly been getting under everybody's skin, and everybody is under Shauna's skin. So the fact that Mari is slightly annoying, like, it's amplified and intensified for Shauna tenfold. Coach found a ladder in the woods. Yeah, that's another good point. Yeah. Where did that ladder come from? And Travis offers to help Van look for Mari, but Lottie intervenes, saying that she needs Travis to trip on some more mushroom tea again so they can understand the wilderness and what it wants for them. Missy and Nat go looking for Coach, and Mari's screaming for Coach to come help her out of the hole, which, again, I'm like 95% sure it's the hole that we see in the pilot episode that Pit Girl falls into when she says, I never believed you burned down the cabin, which really gets his attention. And he asks her if she's telling the truth. She tells him that it burned for weeks, which it did not burn for weeks. I don't think it's possible that it could burn for weeks. But he tells her that he's kept as much distance between them as he possibly could have. So there's no way that like he could have smelled it, which I don't know if I truly buy that. Like, I don't know exactly how far the cave is from where the cabin is and like how far that smell would permeate. But I will say that, speaking from personal experience, I had a house that burned down, and the smell you could smell from, like, I had clothes that survived the fire, and I had to buy special laundry detergent to get that smell out. You could have washed the clothes like 5 times with regular laundry detergent and it didn't touch it. Like that smell lingers and it permeates everything. So the fact that he didn't smell anything is kind of crazy. And I don't like, but at the same time, like, I don't take him for a liar. Like, I don't. So him saying that he didn't know about it, like, Coach is lying, the smoke and ash goes for miles and miles. Yeah. But just because Coach is lying about knowing about it, does that mean that he necessarily did it? Because I'm of the belief that he didn't do it. Again, about the Misty searching for Coach and Nat, like, or for Mari, like, why does Natalie try to distract Misty? I think everybody here thinks that it's because she's trying to protect Coach. She thinks that it was from Coach. But then when Ty and Van are out looking for Mari, they hear Travis tripping on the mushrooms, and Travis says to Lottie they're coming and he doesn't want to see them, which I was wondering about, because when Mari has that visual hallucination of the blood dripping down in season 2, she says their blood was dripping on the floor. You heard it. Like, what if like those two things are like somehow connected? I don't know. Might be like trying to spiderweb it right now, but it was just a thought that crossed my mind. You're too nice, Coach is toast. I mean, I don't want him to be toast, so I'm trying to be as optimistic about it as we could. I think it was Shauna. She was the only one awake, I believe. I don't think it was Shauna at all. No. Nope. I think if it was anyone besides Coach, it was Ty. I really do. Because right before they discover Travis, they have a conversation, and Ty says to Van, they get into a discussion about how Natalie didn't allow anyone to go out looking for Coach after the cabin burned down. Why didn't she let anybody go looking for him? And Ty asked Van, who else could it have been? I can't remember exactly what Van's response was, but I don't know, like, it felt like they were trying to create doubt in the fact that like he did it, because they obviously wanted us to think that, but they obviously want us to think that Melissa is the sender of these mysterious this mysterious tape and the phone that Shauna found. Like, the way that the scenes were cut with each other, like, it's so obvious that that's what they want us to assume. And they're big on red herrings in this show. So for them to misdirect us, like, that's not out of the realm of possibility. I thought Van was going to tell Ty it was her. Yes, that's what I mean. Like, I really thought that Van was going to be like, well, actually, I discovered you in your fugue state and you were responsible. But we're just not going to tell anybody, because if anybody else knows, then you're fucked, basically. When Coach takes Mari out of the hole, he blindfolds her and takes her back to the tree cave. So, and I know some people were like, they're going to find Mari because they're going to know where she is. Why would they know where she is to go look there? Like, what would make them think to go look there? They haven't looked there to look for Coach yet. So what would make them look there? Agreed about the red herrings. That's why I don't think Hillary is Melissa, but her appearance could be related to Melissa. Yeah. That's why I think Melissa fugues in a cricket lighter. That's why I think adult Melissa is trying to get Shauna's attention, but isn't the postcard center. Okay, that could be. I could get behind that. Ben and Mari both hobbling along made me laugh. Yeah, that was really funny. But she asked him, like, what are you so afraid of if you didn't burn the cabin down anyway? And he says, like that would matter to that mob. I saw what you did to Javi. I know you ate Javi and killed him. And he assumed that he would be next up on the menu for obvious reasons. Like, the dude's got one leg. Like, if survival of the fittest here, people, like, come on. And then we see Travis, like, visibly struggling and crying, which really pulled at my heartstrings, like, big time. And Akilah notices, and she approaches him and asks him if he wants to hold Mortimer the duck. And he says yes to make himself feel better. And I thought that was really, really sweet of Akilah. Like, she saw that he was in need of some comfort, and there's obviously not a lot of sources of comfort out there. And that was just a really, like, nice moment. And Lottie keeps trying to convince Travis that he needs to connect with the wilderness again so he can figure out what it wants. And he tells Lottie that it doesn't want him. It's tied to someone else there that has a deeper connection to it. And he looks at Akilah. And I know we've already touched on this a little bit, that, like, a lot of you think that he was kind of just doing that because she was the last person he saw to get Lottie off his back. And I can agree with that. I can definitely agree with that. Mari asks Ben what he plans to do with her and tells him that she's going to tell the others that he set a fucked up Silence of the Lambs trap for her. And, like, as she's saying all this, like, he doesn't give a shit. Like, he's still doing what he's doing. Like, he prepares the hot chocolate. He sets it down in front of her. And she's like, what's this? And he was like, hot chocolate. You're welcome. And then he just walks away. And she takes a sip of it and she realizes that it's actual hot chocolate. And it's that was obviously in the stuff that he found. But that's when we see Ben saying, I'm trying to keep her quiet. I just need time to think. That's enough. Stop. And Mari also explains to him that they ate Javi out of necessity and says that they aren't doing that anymore. But I don't think Ben's going to believe a word that she has to say. Shauna revisits her baby's grave and sees that there are flowers there, which makes her realize that someone is watching her. And she calls for them to come out, and it's revealed to be Melissa. And then we see the kiss, obviously. But it was very unexpected, as we've already discussed. For the adult timeline, Jeff reminds Shauna about the dinner that they had that night at the Jolly Hitcher with we'll call them the Joels. And when they're having that conversation, she hears a knock on their door, and she opens the front door, and they are face to face with Miss Lottie Matthews, which, again, really curious why Lottie thought that it was okay to go there. What made her think that she would be accepted there? And so Jeff, Lottie, and Shauna get into a discussion about everything that transpired in the wilderness in her community. And they talk about, like, why Lottie shouldn't stay there and Callie should have never witnessed any of that. And Lottie tries convincing Shauna that they're on the same side and goes into, like, how after that night she lost her community, she lost her home, she lost everything that she had built. They all lost Natalie. And she says to Shauna, I hope that night has ruined my life to your satisfaction. And then she, like, goes to leave. And this is when Callie's like, Mom, we have to let her stay. And both Shauna and Jeff are like, hell no. And she's like she makes a comment about leaving her on her doorstep. And Lottie's like, yes, she actually said that. And Callie claps back with, of course you did, Mom. You have such, I want to speak to the manager energy. And I love that line. Like, Callie's really growing on me. Really growing on me. I thought Shauna was going to bite Melissa's ear. Oh, that would have been too much. That would have been too much. That would have been great. But so Jeff is like, no, that woman ran a cult. She almost got your mother killed. She can't ride this out on some purple people's futon or something. And Shauna says in good conscience that she can't let this dangerous person stay with them. And Callie is like, Callie goes into the fact, like, she asks how they aren't considered dangerous when she had just dismembered her lover's body and covered up the blackmail plot that her own husband did to her friends. And she's like, we pulled up to that place with 5 date lines worth of problems to Lottie's compound. So, like, they were already in the weeds. Like, the Sadecki family are terrible criminals. Like, we can all agree on that. But they finally agree to allow Lottie to stay for the night. And then we see Walter trying to get Misty out of bed after her drunken adventure the night before. And he comments on how he noticed her friends only conveniently come around when they need something from her. And Misty, like, kind of tries to blow it off and says she understands how Walter wouldn't get the bond that they formed as fellow survivors. That's a good point. And whose good conscience is Shauna referring to, by the way? But as they're having this conversation, Misty receives a phone call from Shauna, which completely changes her tune. And she, like, immediately hops out of bed and is, like, so happy. And Walter doesn't really like that. Like, you can tell that he's not a fan of the way that they treat her. And, like, I love Misty, so I know she's crazy, but, like, it sucks to be used at the same time. And Shauna clearly called her because, like, she didn't have anyone else in that scenario to call, and she needed somebody that Lottie knew and that she trusted enough to be around, like, in her. I don't know. It's just weird. Like, it's weird that she called Misty, but I understand why she called Misty at the same time. And Misty shows up at Shauna's only to realize she's essentially been called to babysit Lottie and Callie, which Lottie and Callie decide to have a sleepover, which was amazing. And as they're there, Lottie stumbles into Callie's room when Callie is examining the tape that she found in the envelope on their stoop in the previous episode. And Misty comes in and breaks up the party, like, asking Callie, like, if she's done her homework. And she's like, I'll expect a status report at 2100 hours. And she says to Lottie that they need to alphabetize the food pantry because it's never been done. We then see Ty go back to the place that her and Van dined and dashed the night before, and she realizes that that the server had a heart attack right after that happened, and she gets really freaked out. Like, you can tell she gets really freaked out. And along her way home, she stops at a church and she throws the matches that she had taken from the restaurant into a candle, which, what's that all about? Really curious about that. Lottie and Misty have a discussion about Nat's death, and Lottie says it wasn't either of their faults and everything happened the way that it intended. She and Misty admits that she's pissed at Lottie. Like, I think she very much feels like if it weren't for Lottie, that would have never happened, because if Lottie never kidnapped Nat, then Nat would have never been there. And then Misty would have never had to go find her. Like, these are just, like, the thoughts that I'm thinking Misty would have in her head. So Callie comes into the kitchen and says they should all hang out sleepover style, to which Misty says she's never been to a traditional sleepover before. And Callie insists that they drink some rum milk punch, is what she calls it, which, ew. Like, sorry for anyone out there that thinks that sounds delicious. I think it sounds disgusting. So they decide to have the sleepover. Jeff has his meetings with the Joels about furnishing the Jolly Hitcher. And Callie and Misty and Lottie all play a game of truth or dare. And Lottie picks truth, which Misty is not happy about. The Jersey special. I'm assuming you're referring to the rum milk punch, which is absolutely disgusting. She has her mom's taste. Yes. Ty was destroying evidence and cleansing her soul. Yeah, but, like, how could that be pinned on her that he died? Like, I mean, so she dined and dashed and they chased her. Like, it's not like he chased them. It's not like they knew that he was going to have a heart attack and croak in the middle of the road. I also wonder if this fan base, how crazy this fan base is, so they can give us blatant info and we still don't believe it. I definitely think that can be the case sometimes. Yeah. But Lottie says she feels as if Callie may understand better than anyone what they all went through out in the wilderness because Shauna is her mother. And then Misty passes out from the allergy medication that Callie put in her drink. And Lottie makes a comment like, why do you not seem more concerned about this? And they start bonding. Like, But then we see Shauna use the bathroom at the hotel when someone enters, puts a phone in the stall next to Shauna, turns the lights out, and leaves. Shauna opens the stall door to find the phone, and she brings it out into the bar and hands it into the bartender to be a good Samaritan. Shauna then proceeds to ruin Jeff's meeting by calling one of the Joels a boner and saying that she doesn't think that they deserve to do business with Jeff, which is why she earned a spot on the most unsupported partner list. That was a lot, like, for Shauna, like, to ruin a like financial career opportunity for Jeff. Like, it just. And the song it was playing is the Queen of Hearts. Yes, I heard that, Allison, about the phone when Shauna finds it in the bathroom. Yes, thank you for reminding me. I heard that, and the wallpaper on the phone was the wilderness. Yes, yes. So many little hints. After all that Jeff has done for her, that was disappointing. That was, like, it really let me down. Like, Jeff is ride or die. Like, Jeff is really ride or die. And I felt like Shauna really takes that for granted sometimes. He's willing to go to prison. Yeah. Yeah, he was willing to go to prison for her. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if we could say the same for Shauna. I don't. I really don't. Poor Jeff, he was so hurt by that. Yeah, he really was. Like, you could tell he was really hurt. Misty shows up home drunk as a skunk, and Walter is very upset, telling Misty that if Shauna was really her friend, she would have never let her drive in this condition. And this kind of sets Misty off, and she he air quotes her friendships, and she's like, don't air quote my friendships. She gets so pissed, and she hates him downplaying these relationships that she has with these women. And she tells him to get lost, and she breaks up with him and kicks him out. Because obviously her relationship with these women matters more to her than anything in her life. Painful little boner. Yes. Yes. Back to the hotel scene. Mm-hmm. And then at the very end of the episode, a tiny bit in Shauna's defense, she was super distracted that night, and in her head, Jeff is too good for the Joels, but still, yeah, she was super distracted. I mean, if I were Shauna, I'd be distracted too, because you have what did she call her? A woo-woo sorceress or something like that in the episode. I loved the line that she used. It was great. To be fair, Walter hasn't been around long enough to be coming and questioning her 20-year friendships. That is true. In the grand scheme of things, he has not been in Misty's life for very long. So, yeah, they don't deserve Jeff's foozons, no. But at the very end of the episode, Shauna is seen calling the hotel to see if anyone had come to pick up the phone she found in the bathroom, and they tell her someone did. And she asks what she looks like. So there was something there that makes Shauna think that whoever left that phone in the bathroom was a woman. And I'm assuming it's because of the wilderness wallpaper and the ringtone. Although I don't know if the ringtone would have actually meant anything to Shauna. Like, if she would have made that distinction that it was the song The Queen of Hearts. But yeah, so, and this scene of Shauna calling the hotel is spliced with the altercation between Melissa and Shauna when Shauna puts the knife to Melissa's neck and says, if you tell anybody about this, I'll fucking kill you. And you see the concern on Shauna's face building as she's talking to, yes, this looks around and whispers, I would like to speak to the manager. Yes, I'm glad somebody else caught that. That was so good. You could tell she was so mad that her daughter was right about the fact that she is that kind of person, but she couldn't resist. She just couldn't. Goop sorceress. That's what it was. Thank you, Carrie. I knew somebody would know. But from that, it 100% looks as if Melissa could be the mysterious tape sender and phone dumper. Like I said, given the way that the scenes were stitched together, and what appears to be the same woman figure watching Shauna from afar a few times through the first 2 episodes. And she notices it herself when she's at the bar. Callie literally heard the door creak open when this person left the envelope. But to me, like, this person is being very, like, bold with the fact that they're coming around. Like, they literally went into the bathroom where Shauna was. Shauna could have just opened that door and been face to face with them. So, like, are they not afraid of, like, their identity being revealed, like, to everyone? Like, or, like, do they just want Shauna to know about their presence? Or, like, because, like, Callie intercepted that tape. Is Callie going to listen to that tape? Is Callie going to listen to it and then be like, oh my God, I can't give this to my mom? I don't think so, though, because there are shots of Shauna listening to a tape in the trailer. So I think Shauna eventually gets her hands on that tape. Her calling Misty just proves Walter's point. Yes. Yeah. Definitely brings me back to the scene in season 1 where Shauna asked Ty if there had been any sign of the others, more survivors for sure. Yeah. Shauna had gotten a semi-good look at the restaurant. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Yeah, like, you could tell she was feeling like somebody was watching them. Like, that was very apparent. But I'm not sure if I'm convinced Melissa will be the 8th and possibly last survivor that we see. And like I've said, I'm also not convinced that if Melissa is that survivor, that it will be Hillary Swank. Like, I just don't know. But now that we've been here for a while, guys, I'm gonna wrap things up. But as always, I want to thank everyone for buzzing in and joining me. It's so beyond refreshing to have new things to talk about in the world of Yellowjackets. And I've literally been chomping at the bit to chat with everyone about my thoughts. And I feel like I just finished a really great therapy session. So thank you to all of you for being here and joining in the discussion with me. It really keeps things interesting. Like, the back and forth with you guys is why I do this. It's just so much fun. And so many people have so many good thoughts that I don't think of myself. And it's like, I know I've said this before. It very much feels like we're all just sitting together trying to put together the puzzle that is Yellowjackets. And it's just so fun. But don't forget that next Sunday night, Nia Sandaya, Akila, will be joining me live in the Hive, and I can't wait to chat with her. I'm so excited. She was such a great guest the last time that she joined me, and I can't wait to hear more from her. I'm really excited to see what happens with Akila now that Lottie's got her sights on her. Makes me a little nervous. And I will also be speaking with a few other cast members later on in the season. So stay tuned for those announcements. It's been a blast. I can't wait for next week, which we'll be back same time, same place to discuss episode 303. I think the episode title is Them's the Breaks. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Ask her about the duck. Yes, I will. Yo, Philly. Yes, Philly forever. You know it, Alan. But yes, I will see you all next week. And with that, until I spill again.